Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at another sound focused switch from Akko, the Akko Mirror. Let's get started. But firstly, a disclaimer, these switches were sent to me by Akko, I wasn't paid to make this review, and I will remain as impartial as I can as per usual. Anyway, enjoy the review. Now, the Akko Mirror was designed for foamless builds, and this is to reflect the authentic sound of any keyboard as much as possible. So essentially, it's another way of saying this switch is going to sound different depending on your specific build. I mean, duh, come on now, Akko. Now, pricing wise, these are $11.99 for 45 switches on Akko's website, placing these in the budget range. And this is what they look like when disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch characteristics. On-center key presses are very smooth even at very slow key presses. Off-center key presses have noticeable binding at very slow key presses, but this becomes less apparent when typing normally. Overall, compared to the Stellar Rose, the mirror switch is worse, but it's still a pretty smooth switch as a whole. 7 out of 10. Now, according to Akko, these switches have an actuation force of 37 grams at 2mm and a bottom out distance of 3.5mm. Now, in terms of the actual key field, they're very similar to the Stellar Rose. I mean, they have the same weighting and actuation point, but these do have a shorter travel. Additionally, these don't perform as consistently as the Stellar Rose. They have slight binding from time to time, but I felt worse and I could just be nitpicking. Overall, it's a bit less consistent than the Stellar Rose with a shorter travel, but for me, it's the light weighting that I'm not a fan of. 4 out of 10. Now, unlike the Stellar Rose, these switches are louder with a more distinct clacky sound signature. However, if you believe in Akko's marketing, these should sound thocky in a thocky based build. Overall, it's not really my kind of sound, but it's not bad. 6 out of 10. Now, take a listen and enjoy. Now, carrying on with the Stellar Rose comparison, these perform almost the same. The biggest difference between the two is that the mirror's shorter total travel. It's noticeable especially when compared to a full travel switch. They're a bit like speed switches in this regard. Consistency wise, as mentioned, isn't in the same level as the Stellar Rose, but these still perform very consistently when compared to other linear switches out there. Overall, I'm not a fan of the shorter travel and the light weighting causing me to make typos, and I'm still confused as to why Akko had to make this switch. 4 out of 10. Now, again comparing this to the Stellar Rose, these were more comfortable for gaming as well. However, unlike the Stellar Rose, there were cases of slight binding during off-center key presses. Thankfully, these were minor and didn't affect gameplay much. But what about that shorter switch travel? Well, it actually didn't bother me at all. In fact, I didn't notice it in any of the games I played. Overall, these are still lightly weighted switches that I'm not a fan of. 5 out of 10. In conclusion, I'd slightly recommend the Stellar Rose over these, as those are more of a complete package, especially when it comes to smoothness, but both switches perform almost identically. The final score for this switch is 26 out of 50 or 52%. That's less than the Stellar Rose and less than average overall. And that's it for today. Next time I'll most likely be back in 2025, so happy Christmas and happy holidays everyone. Take care and goodbye.